The National Youth Poet Laureate Program of the United States by the Urban World NYC organization is a youth program that provides opportunities for learning creative writing, poetry, spoken word, and a lot of engagements among young adults. Salome, a Nigerian-American poet that has written and performed spoken word poetry for the Golden Globes pre-show and NFL Rams halftime show, just to mention a few, is a first-year student at Harvard University who is visiting Nigeria as part of the U.S. Department of State's Art Envoy program to connect with emerging poets and experience Nigeria's art, literary, and cultural scene.
Hello, my name is Salome Agbaroji. My poem is called Are We There Yet?, written in 2020. Look out the window and see concrete jungles where you're deemed most dangerous beast. And when street cops turn kings top a food chain looking for a feast, well, these roads seem a bit more treacherous, so you gotta ask, Ma, are we there yet? She says zilch and doesn't flinch besides the bounce of potholes. You know treachery. You came from the jungle, but this different type of danger sits stiffly in your soul. You realize these highways are caution tape on indigenous land, a graveyard of Asian workers covered in concrete quicksand, and the tombstone for the missing girl whose search party quit last week. These roads are guilt, gluttony, and taxpayer money, and that doesn't feel right, so you gotta ask again. Mama, are we there yet? She says nothing, and windshield wipes away the acid rain from her eyes. We have...
Joining us now on this show is Salome Agbaroji, 2023-2024 U.S. National Youth Poet Laureate, and Julie Mckay, U.S. Consulate Public Affairs Officer. Thank you very much for joining us.
Hi,
yes,
nice to be here.
Thank you, Julie, for joining us on the morning show. But first, let me start with you, Julie Mckay, because this is the American Embassy's program. Now, what do you hope to achieve with this visit by the Youth Laureate, Poet Laureate, and what's the purpose of the visit?
Oh, thank you so much for having us this morning. I mean, the purpose of this is to deepen and strengthen the ties between the United States and Nigeria. That relationship is already very strong in between governments, but what is even the basis of all of it is our people-to-people ties. And so by bringing Americans to Nigeria to share their talents and learn from Nigerians, it's just a way of promoting mutual understanding and creating shared opportunities for collaboration, innovation, and just building that bridge of mutual understanding between our two countries. So we're so pleased to have been able to bring Salome for this Arts Envoy program.
Excellent. Congratulations, Salome, on being named the 2023 National Youth Poet Laureate. It sounds such a big deal, and I know it is a big deal. So the first question, we saw that beautiful piece, a bit of your poetry piece. How did you get into poetry? Did you have influences growing up? What piqued your interest in poetry?
I would say definitely I've always had a lot of interest in the literary arts before I had the intelligence to say the word literary art. So ever since like 4th grade or being 4 years old even, I remember like writing a little rap down on a napkin before going to church on Sunday, and just finding any opportunity to creatively express myself with words. And once I matured and I started developing a sort of political conscious, social conscious, I found poetry as a medium to like have fun with words in the way I would do with music or maybe like, conversations on the playground, but also be able to weave in themes of social activism, advocacy, and things like that. So it was a very natural development for me.
I mean, and that piece was really deep. And my reaction will be, are we there yet? Zilch, we're not there yet. Because the inequalities and the favoritism and what is done with taxpayers' money and all sorts of shenanigans that happen in society still continues. And it rests with us on the face, and it's so ugly, and it's so yucky, if I can use that word. So what was your reaction like when you were named 2023 National Youth Poet Laureate? Can you describe the selection process, and what did it mean to you, for you to hold that title?
It meant the whole world, because I'm the first Nigerian to have that title. Like, it's thankfully a very diverse program, and there have been so many great generational African Americans to hold that title and do a great job with it. But I was really, really privileged and excited to be able to, represent the African continent with such a prestigious and visible title and post in the U.S. So it was just an amazing experience for me, and it remains to be a great honor. But the selection process, like you asked, it starts regionally or locally. So I had to first become the Youth Poet Laureate of Los Angeles County, which is like where I'm from. I lived there, and then you had to kind of graduate to the West region of the United States. So that was a whole nother application, submitting poems, submitting a CV of like maybe the social engagement, social activism work I'd done in my community. And then, beating out everyone in the West of the United States. And then out of all the 4 regions, the 4 people compete by submitting essays, poems, videos, and your social activism, because it's based not only on your poetic skill, but also your commitment to the advancement of your community. So both of those factors are 50% weighed equally. So after a very long submission process from locally to national, that's how one may become the National Youth Poet Laureate.
It's not just only about writing and delivering the poem, it's also about what you are doing.
Oh yeah, of course, because I feel like there are other awards to honor people who write really well. You can write an amazing poem, a beautiful poem, but what is important in this program is that your words are backed up by action. So, yeah.
Julie, let me come back to you. We're in the province of what is called cultural diplomacy. So how does cultural exchange through poetry and the arts, how does that enhance U.S.-Nigeria people-to-people relations?
Thank you so much for that question. Right now, the world is really paying attention to African culture, music, stories, and they're streaming these stories and music on U.S. platforms, from YouTube to Apple Music to Netflix. And I think that there are so many opportunities by supporting these kinds of programs on both sides of the Atlantic Ocean, right? From Hollywood to Nollywood, as we say sometimes. It appears that the creative sector employs more young people than any other sector, and these are young people between 15 and 29 years old. And I believe I've heard that it's possible that the creative industries here in Nigeria have the potential to be the greatest export at some point. And so these kinds of exchanges lead to opportunities, sharing of knowledge, and we do it through many of our programs. So we have programs both for poets, for film directors, for writers, producers, for musicians, people working in the music industry, and emerging talent across Nigeria in these sectors. All of it leads to more opportunity and deeper connections between our two countries.
Absolutely. I love how you've been able to use art, especially to deepen the connections and relationship between the U.S. and Nigeria. Absolutely fantastic. But let me come home to our Nigerian. I know you're U.S. but now we tell you that you're Nigerian.
I'm Nigerian. Come on now.
So what has been your favorite public performance or reading, and so far, and why? And also, if you tell us, how do you prepare for public performances? You sound so confident, so self-assured, and it's so good to see that, especially for young, girls and young people watching.
My favorite public performance has to be at the United Nations last year for their Sustainable Development Goals Summit. They hosted a huge celebration because we're halfway through the global goals. By 2030, there are a lot of checkpoints we're hoping to make for the whole world. And I was chosen to write and perform a poem for that. And of course, it's meaningful because it's a global stage. You have the ability to inspire many people with your words when that many people are watching and listening to your rhetoric. But it was also just very meaningful because there were so many passionate people in the audience, and I was just in the midst of people who are so committed to human investment, so committed to human development and goodness and prosperity for all people, not just a small few, and letting the unfortunate many just suffer to themselves. So I really felt inspired in that space. And to answer your question about preparation, I get empowered by that opportunity. I've been doing poetry workshops here in Lagos, here in Enugu. We traveled to Enugu, did some poetry workshops, and some people would ask me the same question of like, how do you not get nervous? And I said, you can view performances, with two perspectives. You can either say, oh my gosh, I'm so scared, everyone's looking at me, and what if I mess up? Or you could say, oh my gosh, everyone is looking at me. I have at least 3 minutes to impart whatever message I want all these 100 or 1,000 people to hear. And that takes away the fear for me, at least. It gives me, motivation to do well, to speak prophetically, proficiently, and it overcomes any nervousness I may have.
That's really great.
Yeah.
All right. So, Julie, we'll come to you now. Nigeria is experiencing sort of a cultural, using the word advisedly, revolution, because the word revolution rings thunder down some people's spine in the country as we speak today. Through literature, fashion, film, visual arts, cultural sites, entertainment, music, even sports. Why is the U.S. interested in forging such close creative industry ties with Nigeria and the rest of Africa?
Thank you. I believe deeply that is the connection between the two countries, and we're doing it because there are benefits both for Nigerians and for Americans. As I mentioned, from Nollywood to Hollywood, I think it also draws on the connections that we have, and Salome is an excellent example of the heritage, the Nigerian heritage that so many Americans have. There are over 700,000 people of Nigerian heritage in the United States, and they are the single most successful and best educated diaspora group in the U.S. And we just had a visit from the U.S. President's Diaspora Council, again, looking at deepening and strengthening the ties that are already there. And so I think it just brings us all closer together. We can understand each other on a more deep level. And it's just an honor to have had Salome here this past week. And we will continue to do these types of programs at the U.S. mission here.
Well, very quickly, Julie, again, another question for you. The U.S. government has a long list of cultural and arts programs every year here in Nigeria. Can you describe some of them very quickly? And after her, Salome, I would like you to perform a short piece for us. We can't have a poet in the house, and we don't get a chance to listen to you. But you first.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, we have more than 20 exchange programs. I'm going to start by saying the best way to find out about these exchange programs is to follow us on our platform, U.S. and Nigeria, across social media. We have programs like the Fulbright Program, International Visitors Leadership Program, the Humphrey Program, as well as the Mandela Washington Fellowship. And I quickly mentioned 3 new programs, but I'll just say what they are. The Africa Creative Television Program for producers and writers. We have a group of Nigerians right now in Los Angeles. We also have the American Music Mentorship Program, and that pairs people in the music business here in Nigeria with mentors at the Recording Academy, which is the Grammys. And then also a year-long program for script to screen for students to get more experience and connect with Americans in their field. So over 20 programs, U.S. and Nigeria, that is the best way to find out about them. Thank you.
Very good, Julie. I'm a Hubert Humphrey Fellow.
I know. That's why I mentioned it. Congratulations.
We also have Adefemi Akinsanya in our Rice News, who is a Nieman Fellow. Well, back to you, Salome.
Yes. Okay. Yes, you requested a poem, and I agree. It would be a total abomination to have a poet and not have a performance. So I want to leave on like a very positive, hopeful note. So I'll perform a poem that I performed at the White House, and it's a really special one to me. So please enjoy my poem called In the Palms of Your Hands. In the palms of your hands is a heart, blessed with a breath, black and abundant. This is the body, the overflow, anatomy of chiffon and kente blend. Church bells resonate homecoming in the throat. Black bodies unearthed, riveting. In these pastures, the weather is Porgy and Bess. Stretch the arms, gather an ounce of summertime, kiss the loose petals that fall in your hand. Sweet honey riptide cascade, river encore, rip ties with cornmeal flattery because cool cats keep it trill. I made a flower for you out of cotton just to chill with ya, K-Dot. We know that death is just a double dutch to heaven, so we dance. The player tickles piano in the palms of his hands. The heels thankful that all the black keys were designed to harmonize. Amen to jazz and the gut where it's born. To Soul Train and Coltrane in the palms of his hands. To the way Ma and Pa met and that, may I have this dance? Back in '82. Black bodies meet with the eyes to say, I know you. To return, I know you too. This is the audacious exhale of black joy. Not memories of tribal drums and the unknowing of collared shirts. It's the laugh so hard that it hurts. Molars on full display, not hand-me-down, complacent, content with bare minimum, but today, knowing that the black body can inhabit happiness, it is engaging the inheritance and calling it mine. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Salome.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
And congratulations.
Thank you.